Welcome to Craft and Crashouts with your co-hosts Mick and Ari. We are both writers trying to become traditionally published, and on this podcast, we meet every week to discuss craft, progress, and what we are currently crashing out about.
Yeah, my weekend was good. Halloween was good. It was intense. I showed you the photos of our Stranger Things house.
Incredible.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Actually, it looks like it was professionally done by like a film crew. That's how it felt.
That's a reach. That's a reach.
No, it was so good.
The compliment. Honestly, it's my father. He's like in construction, and so he built like everything. Again, I'm art director, so I'm just
Love it.
doing that. But it was fun. There was some family in town. We had a lot of people over. Yeah, my family loves Halloween. And that's pretty much like we focused on this like all week because we've been talking about doing this for a while, but we didn't like actually work on anything until like the last 3 weeks. So it's been like mad race. But how about you? How was your Halloween?
It was good. It was like very chill. There were like kids trick-or-treating in like our apartment building, which was like really fun. And I like went out on Halloween day. I like had to go to the doctor's office, and they were like, there was this man and wife who were dressed up as like Mr. and Mrs. Incredible, and they were like running around this doctor's office. Like, it was incredible. Like, they had music and their costumes were so legit. And then also when I got into the elevator, there was probably this like 8 or 9-year-old child like dressed up like full like head to toe as Scream. And I was just like, this is amazing. Earlier, I did go see Mona Awad speak last week, which was like very fun. Very, very fun.
I'm happy for you. Like I've told you, I'm happy for you. I'm sad for me.
I know. She signed both of my books. Can I show you? I have it here because it's also the book that I'm reading this week. Can I find the title page? It says, "To Ari, love you, bunny. XOX, Mona."
Oh my God.
I'm just like fangirling so hard that she wrote "Love You, Bunny." I don't know why. Like, I'm sure she wrote it in every single person's book.
It's iconic.
But it's iconic, truly. And there were people like at the event, like wearing bunny ears. Like, it was so cute.
Gosh, that's so fun.
Yeah.
Do you want to go right into what you're reading then this week, which is that book?
Yeah. Hey, what a segue. Okay. So I finished Bunny last week, and I'm on, I guess it's like prequel sequel. Like, I think it's like kind of both. To me, at the moment, I'm not that far in. I'm probably about like 20% of the way in, I want to say. It's not as gripping to me as Bunny was. Like, I think Sam as a character, like her voice and everything was much more interesting. And I think there was a lot of appeal to just the like mystery of the bunnies, like from an outsider's perspective. And the POV like really drastically shifts in this book. But like the vibes are still there. The writing is still incredible. I think I just found Bunny a little bit more gripping, but I'm still really enjoying this. And I'm not even like in the meat of this book yet. So I've been really enjoying it. And just like the way that she does like setting and vibe and specificity in her prose, like it's still just like such a joy to read, you know?
I mean, we talked about this last week, but like I'm obsessed with Mona Awad. I haven't read We Love You Bunny yet because I have such a long TBR. I'm hoping to get to it by the end of this year, but I could see that because I do think like with Bunny, there, like you said, there's such a mystery of like what I can swear, right? This is our podcast. It's truly what the fuck is going on moment, like the entire book. Yeah. I could see We Love You Bunny being different because isn't it like, is it told from the perspective of the bunnies or is it still Sam?
Yes. No, it's like all 4 of the bunnies. So you like switch POV between the bunnies, and she does a really great job of like keeping their voices distinct from one another. But like, you know what I mean? There's like a certain like mystery to them that like it feels like now that you're like in their head, like in their POV, you kind of like lose that mystery a little bit.
That makes sense. I do remember hearing from an interview that she basically wrote this as like fan fiction of her own work because
Yeah.
everyone was wanting her to like revisit Bunny, and the bunnies were like living in her head rent free. And it was just kind of like something she had to get out. And I love that. I feel like what an
Yeah.
honor as an author to like be at the point where you can publicly say that basically this book I wrote is like fan fiction of my own writing. Like it's that gratuitous. Like it's for me, it's for fun. Like
Yeah.
I mean, of course, like writing should always be fun and for you, but I feel like still when you're newer and you're trying to break in, you're thinking so much about market and audience. And now she's like, you know what? The bunnies are in my head and I have to get them out. So here's this book.
I know. And it was like so interesting because she was really saying how like she had a really hard time, like when she did finish Bunny, she had a really hard time like letting it go. And so she like always wanted to like return back to it because I think she had this like separation anxiety from it, which like makes sense. Like you spend so long and you spend so much like time, energy, and love like getting into a book and then you have to like let go of it. But also like, isn't that what we all aspire to as authors? Like that we can write fanfic of our own work? Like, isn't that the dream? It's like fanfic of your own work, but that other people would love to read, you know?
It's that
The dream.
you have a fan base for your work that like they will follow you anywhere. Like Mona Awad, for me, I've read her other books as well. Highly recommend like all of her other
I
works.
think Rouge is on my next
Rouge is so
after
good.
this one.
I think my second favorite after Bunny is All's Well. It's also set in a
Mm.
college setting and it's about like a theater group. It's so
Ooh.
good. And she's just one of those auto buy authors. So I feel like you can tell she's now just at that point for like a lot of readers where we're like, I will
Yeah.
literally buy whatever you.
Whatever you write. Yeah. 100%. 100%. And I think she also was just like so okay. Like a little bit of a spoiler if you haven't read Bunny yet for whoever's listening, but like Bunny is you're just like, how does a brain come up with this? Like you're kind of like, where are we? Where are we going? I'm in it, but how? Like, you know what I mean? And I didn't know anything about Mona going in, and she just is like so down to earth, so kind, so humble, like so just had the best advice. And I don't know what I was expecting, but like she also just seems like my idol. I'm just like, yeah, like I would love when I grow up. Like you just seem like a wonderful person.
I could see what you're saying though. Like for a brain to come up with Bunny, I could see that if you haven't like heard her speak before, you could picture someone like a little erratic, like a little like, like
Yeah.
out there because the book is erratic and out there. But yeah, no, she's like so poised and she feels so put together every time I hear her speak. And I'm
Hmm.
always just in incredible awe because I'm like, your brain is doing crazy things, girl. But you present on the
Yes.
outside like you are, I don't know, just so posh, so poised,
So together.
so together.
Yeah.
Bunny is just like not together, like in the best way possible. I really want to be able to talk to you about Bunny without spoiling it for everyone. So we'll have to chat about it.
Okay.
Maybe
We will.
you're listening to this podcast, everyone has to read Bunny so Ari and I can talk about it on air. That is the goal.
That is the goal. That is the dream. We're just going to have a bunny book club.
Yes, and we only read Bunny all the
I know.
time and dissect
Mick,
it.
what are you reading this week?
Yeah, so I'm still finishing oh gosh, what is it? My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix, but I am reading two nonfiction books
Ooh, what are
um
they?
for my book, which is fun.
Doing a little research.
Doing a little
We
research.
love.
I picked up this book, The Age of Deer by Erica Hauser. I was reading it on my
That's a
Kindle
fun. Yeah,
and I was
it's a fun
highlighting
cover.
so much. I know I love the color and like the deer are
Mm.
so I love it. The tagline is trouble in kinship with our wild neighbors. It's literally all about deer. And I guess a little bit spoiler in my book. There's a lot of deer in my book. And I was reading this on Kindle I was highlighting so much where like every page basically was like one long highlight. And I don't have the Kindle where you can like write notes. So I was just like typing little notes trying to like remember things. And it
Yeah.
just became so cumbersome. I was like, I'm just going to buy a physical copy and mark it up.
Yeah.
So that's now what I've been doing. And then I got another book while I was buying that book, of course. Don't tell my husband. Just kidding.
Also, to interrupt you for just a minute, there is something so delicious about writing and highlighting like a physical book. There is, I don't know if it's just like the perpetual just student in me that like I loved like English class in high school or college. Like my favorite thing to do was like highlight and like write all these notes in the margins. Like it's just so delicious.
Yeah, I don't view books. I wonder if you feel the same because I feel like this is like a hot button topic in like the book world for readers, but like I don't view books as sacred texts in the way that like they should be kept pristine. Like I view books as sacred text in the way that like I want to analyze every sentence structure so minutely. So yes, like
Yes.
I have an entire drawer next to me of like all these different color highlighters and I just these are the best
Yes.
highlighters by the way.
Are they?
Called Mr. Penn, and they have a mustache on them like back in 2010. Like, why?
Cute.
I don't know.
Oh, those are really cute. I have the mild liners, but maybe I should swap to those.
Cool. Well, I like these because they don't really bleed through, and they're all like lighter colors. So you can really like see the text. And I just go to town. I agree. I love it. I
Love
love
it.
to, yeah. If
I think
you,
my favorite books, like the favorite the favorite like copies of books that I have are like the books that I had from like courses that like have writing in them that have like the literary analysis in them. I am so sorry if you can hear my dog. He is like digging up a storm in the couch right next to me. But yeah, those are my favorite books. I'm so sorry. You were saying the second nonfiction book that you were reading.
yes, I got, so that one's all about deer, which is really interesting because I don't know, I'm writing about deer as well. And this book at least explores like deer as something that it's a very interesting concept and I want to try to weave this into my work somehow. Now I'm going to make all of you think about deer differently. Deer is something that like she makes a good point. Like we view them as this icon, at least in North America, as this icon of like wilderness because they live in suburban spaces. But we see them both as like a victim of our human life happening around them and as like a nuisance because we have hunting season to get rid of how much deer there are.
Yeah.
It's
To
just
put
like
my
really
little
interesting
yeah, to put my
concept.
little scientist hat on for just like a brief moment.
You.
Deer are really fascinating because we've gotten rid of all of their natural predators. And so we have just like an unbelievably hard time containing deer populations. And because of that, like our forests like really intensely suffer for it. And also you have things like tick populations just like increasing because ticks are like deer are vectors for ticks and like Lyme disease and other like tick-borne illnesses. And it's just like so fascinating how like we love deer, we're fascinated by it, but like every forest ranger that you talk to, like especially in the northeast of like the US, they're like, yeah, like we need to cull these deer. Like they're a huge nuisance. But then it's also like, yeah, we really do see them as like one with nature. They're like these beautiful beings and like organisms where it's just like, that's really horrible to think about. Like you have to cull deer. You know what I mean?
Because she even talks about like I don't really live in like a typical suburban setting. I'm in a city setting, but not. It's very hard to describe like where I live. I'm not in like cul-de-sac suburbia, right? But when you drive out to cul-de-sac suburbia, there's always something so like, I don't know, like you see a deer and everyone like gets quiet and they're like, look, a
Yeah.
deer, because like the wilderness has come into the human space. But yeah, on the flip side of that, like everyone like can't wait to kill them. And it's just so weird. It's so weird. So she
Yeah.
talks a lot about just that, how the image of deer came to be and like a lot of folklore of deer. Honestly, it's just a really good read. If anyone likes, I don't know, I love nonfiction book personally, one that's like written really well, and this one's written really well. But then of course I got one about bones because I saw this called Skeleton
I
Key.
love a book about bones. Oh, also, that name is amazing.
I know. Skeleton Keys, The Secret Life of Bone by Brian Switek. So I haven't jumped into this one as much because I've been really reading about the deer. But like even some, let me see, like the table of contents, which, by the way, if I could do a quick aside, in fiction books, where the hell have the table of contents gone? Every book I've bought this year don't have the table of contents in the front matter anymore. And I hate
You're
it.
right.
I
Wait,
hate
that's so curious. I actually never really thought about that.
like
I'm like leafing through We Love You, Bunny. It has like part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part
okay, so
5.
that's the table of contents. See, like I like
But
to
I
know,
think you're right.
like I like to see how many chapters are coming and how
Mm,
they're broken down. I don't know why, but like in so many fiction books, they've taken it out, and I'm like, it really only has
yeah.
to be a page. That's annoyed
Yeah.
me. But yeah, I'm
I honestly valid. It's nice to know, like, okay, what does this look like? How long is this book? Where are we going?
and they took that away from me. But this one does have a table of contents. I'm just very excited because there's so many amazing titles of like sections in here, like Cut to the Bone, Bones to Pick, The Nearer
Oh,
the Bone, The Sweeter the Meat, Sticks and Stones, Bad to the Bone. So I've been cracking into this slowly, but yes, it is like a very, I don't know, it does a good job of being scientific about bones and then like pulling it back to like the greater use of bones in like human culture and folklore and what we how we used to see bone, now how we see bone, and very good.
so is it nonfiction? Does it go into like science or does it go into like sociology, anthropology? Like all? Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
very cool.
Very
Yeah, both
interesting.
nonfiction. And yeah, I'm excited because I always love, like we both said, like we're both like lifelong learner people, and I love when a book can take me to weird places. Like I never thought I'd be reading an entire book about deer for a book and bones, but those are two key aspects of my book, and it's cool to be able to read more about it.
Does it feel like to put the research hat on? Like, are you the type of person where, like, when you put the research hat on, you're like getting a bunch of ideas, or are you more like, let me tunnel deeper into this like core idea that I already have for the book? Like, I'm so curious.
I feel like it's both, but probably more the first. Like
Mm,
I highlight something and then I'm instantly like, whoa, I could use this in like five different ways.
mm,
So I have to write about it. When I take notes from like this type of thing, like I actually have like a separate notebook where I'll highlight passages and then I number like page 123, my
yeah,
highlight. And then I do more of like a personal reflection, like why I think it's so cool. And then I like bullet point all the ways I could use this in the
I love
book.
that.
But it is hard because I don't know if you feel this way with research. But I guess wait, you're writing first person right now, but you might change it. That's
Mm,
what we were talking
yeah,
about
who
last.
knows?
I don't know.
Truly, who knows ever?
I wonder if you feel this way because I also debated changing POV, but I think I'm sticking to first right now because Helen
Yeah.
just sounds so much better in first. But I'm like,
Mm,
Helen, why would Helen know so much about deer? So you have to like bring the research in with
yeah. With like her
a way
specific
different.
sliver of like what is realistic for this person to actually know, unless she like had a hyperfixation about deer, which like
Or
isn't not possible.
I feel like it has to come from like now people are gonna be like, what is your book about? I feel like it's from like the group that she gets into
Yeah.
because they
Because
know a lot
they
about her.
would. Yeah.
So that's gonna be an interesting challenge. I have like all these ideas, but I have like flagged some where I'm like, why the heck would Helen know this about deer? So that's a challenge of first person where
Yeah.
like I'm doing all this research. So I feel like most of it, even though it's giving me a lot of ideas, I think it's just going to fuel a lot of like the off-page stuff.
Mm.
And how I see the book and how I write it instead of like making its way onto the page unless I can figure out how to make Helen a deer connoisseur.
A deer, Helen, the deer
Yeah.
connoisseur. Baby girl Helen.
Baby Girl Helen,
Deer obsessed.
That's the new title of my book. Baby Girl Helen, Deer Obsessed.
I love it. That's so fun though.
Okay,
And like,
oh, go ahead.
and like it can always circle back around. Like you never know. Like maybe a big aha moment later in the book will be like really fueled by the research as well.
That's true. I think right now it's just I'm still like interested in the books, and then no, I love a good research rabbit hole.
Me too.
Oops.
Oopsie.
So, what have you been working on this week? Have you tunneled yourself into a research rabbit hole?
Okay. So actually no research rabbit hole, although I love a research rabbit hole. But after last week, I was like, yes, Mick is right. I need to move on from Act 1. I need to move on to Act 2A. I went and I drafted like 3.5 whole scenes in Act 2A. Like I think I wrote, it was probably like 5,000 to 6,000 words. I was like, yes, this is working. Great. Like we're moving. And then I was like, oh no, I don't believe this. Like the way that like some things unfolded, I was just like this doesn't feel right. Like there were just like a couple things that were like a little too tenuous that like I was like, if I was a reader, I would not suspend disbelief for this. And I was like, okay, then there's a way to make this stronger. So now I've gone ahead and taken those like 4 scenes and I've condensed them into like 2. And I think it's much stronger for it. But it means that like I basically deleted a full like week's work and like rewrote it. And it's better for it. 100%. But we're still at the beginning of Act 2A. That's what we're working on this week.
You didn't delete it, did you?
No. I have like a scrap folder basically where like I'll take the scene and then I will like rename it so it's like scene 12 is now scene 12 parentheses scrap, and then I'll create a new scene 12 and I'll like do the Scrivener side by side and I'll like copy paste. I'll write, copy paste the things that like I need to touch upon in the scene from the rewrite. And then I'll just take the scrap scene and put it in my scrap folder. So like I still have it if I ever want it. But I've like taken all the little tidbits that I need and like rewrote the majority of the scene.
You moved forward. Also, I find that fascinating. I always like to know like how people handle. I feel like everyone's always interested. Like, how do you set up your Scrivener and how do you handle scraps? I like that you parentheses it scrap and still keep like the chapter that it was and like take notes. That's really smart.
Yeah. Because I'm like a very anxious person and I'm always just like, what if I need this? What if
True.
Like you ever have like that, you know, you go through your closet, you're like, I'm going to get rid of a bunch of stuff that I like never wear and I like don't need. And then you just like donate a bunch of clothing. And then like a year later, you're like, oh, man, like I really wish I had this shirt.
Yeah.
Like that's my nightmare with my draft.
I feel like
so
it's
I keep
really
it.
Everything though, as someone who, if you've watched me on YouTube in the past, some of you guys might know my story where I took a break from writing after I lost like 3 manuscripts from my computer. That is so panic inducing. I just feel like it's so important to keep your writing because one, I think it's nice to like see how far you've come, especially if it's like in scene, you can see how you changed a scene, like from, you know, stage 1 to stage 5 or whatever. But also you never know when you can use it again. Like there's always like those one like liners that you're like, oh, this was so good, but it doesn't fit now, where you can like highlight that and use it for a whole other project or use it for a later chapter. I just feel like it's so important to not delete anything. Anything.
I agree. And I know Scrivener, like I've been using Scrivener for literally years. And I know that you can take like screenshots, like
What?
of scenes. Like there's so much of the Scrivener like deep dive technicalities of like what you can do in Scrivener that I just like do not use. Like I don't even know, but you can basically like save a scene. And so I think it's called a snapshot, not a screenshot. I think it's called a snapshot. And you can take a snapshot of a scene and it saves that scene. And then it basically like track changes the scene. So you can always revert back to an old version of it. And I feel like I should use that thing, but I don't. And I feel like I really need to take like a Scrivener course. Genuinely.
I swear to God, every week I learn something new about Scrivener. I still remember April when we did like the author tube retreat. We were all sitting around the table, like most of us using Scrivener, and so many people were doing things on their screen where I'm like, I've literally never seen that before. What are you doing? Like Brielle showed me that someone showed her that even though I can't figure out how to do it on my Scrivener, so again, I don't know what I'm doing wrong or like what setting I don't have clicked. You can like drop something down and then it highlights only the dialogue in your chapter or like whatever page you're on.
Shut up.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
See, this is what I mean. Like, there's just so many things you can do. And I'm just like, I had no
Crazy.
idea. Or like, even if I know that snapshots exist, it's like, I don't know how to do it.
That's the thing. I know this dialogue things exist. I don't know how to do it. I saw Brielle do it. That's witchcraft. That's amazing.
I think also Chris at one point did something on Scrivener where you could like highlight all the verbs. And so if you're going in to change tense, like that's also something that you can do.
Same thing.
Maybe this podcast just turns into like a Scrivener utility podcast.
Learn about Scrivener so you don't have to. We need that. Holy cow. Okay, wait. So you're in Act 2A. Okay.
Yeah, I do 4-part act structure. Yeah,
I do. And you wrote like 4-ish scenes, made it to 2. Yeah. How are we feeling though? Because you seemed like kind of bummed that you're still in Act 2A, but I feel like that's good progress.
It's good. It's good. I think honestly, it's just the forever writer dilemma, right? Like you want to enjoy the process, you want to be in it, but then you also want the book done, right? And it's just like I think especially it being November. Okay, this is like my little pep talk for everybody. It's November. It is really hard to be a writer in November who's not doing like a November challenge or like NaNoWriMo. And like I've done NaNoWriMo 4 years prior to this year. And this year I'm just like, it does not make sense for me to push myself to write 50,000 words because like I'm the type of writer where it's like if I write in bulk and I just go for quantity, like the quality is not going to be there. And I'm at a specific stage with my draft where it's like, it is so quality over quantity right now. Like I'm not first drafting or zero drafting anything. Like this is a draft 2 and I need everything to be really intentional and specific and like reasoned through very carefully. And so like there's a little part of me that's like very FOMO where it's like, man, like I want to be drafting something new like so badly. And I also think it's just like very common to just, like you want the book done, like you want a finished product. Like I want to see what this thing is going to look like. And it's hard to like grapple with that when you're like deep in revisions or drafting or whatever it is. So it's like, I think I'm enjoying it. I think I'm really like sinking my teeth into it. And I think the rewrite was really good because I think now when I go into reread, I'm going to be like, yes, like I believe this so much more. Like this feels just stronger as a plot point for character dynamics for like all of the things. But it also just like, I was at like 27,000 words and then I deleted a bunch and I was like back down to 23,000. And then I was like, now I think we're at like 20, maybe almost 25,000, right? So it's this constant, like we're adding, deleting. And I think I'm going to track my writing progress like solely with time now and not word count, because I think I'm just going to get like really discouraged if I'm like only thinking about like what percentage of the way through the draft I am or like what word count am I. Instead, like I think I'm part of Brielle's track bear. Like I'm going to just try to hit like a couple hours a day every day And I think like, then I'm like, I know I'm putting the time in, like I know I'm putting the work in, and the manuscript at the end is going to just reflect that. So that's kind of
Yeah.
where I'm at.
Well, it's so hard because for some reason, I find it really interesting. Writing is a creative pursuit, but you do
Yeah.
use a lot of your analytical side. But for some reason, we track success so quantitatively
Mm-hmm.
in this art form, and it can feel discouraging because, like, even in Scrivener, like, it shows you your word count all the time at the top. And like if you have a word count you're trying to hit, it shows you the percentage. And it's like you're tracking progress quantitatively. But like you said, you're in a draft right now where it's qualitative success versus
Yeah.
quantitative success. But it's kind of hard to turn that part of our brain off because all writers talk about it in terms of like how many words did you write today? Oh, we're
Yeah.
sprinting. Type in your word count instead of like
Yes.
time or effort. And so it's so hard. Sometimes word count motivates me, and then sometimes I feel like you just have to shut it off. Like we're not even thinking about words. Like we're just moving and grooving.
I know. And I feel like that's part of what makes writing so hard is like it is so stage dependent. It's so mood dependent. It's so like it's this constant balancing act of like, okay, like I woke up this morning, like, am I gonna be annoyed by word count today? Or is that gonna motivate like it's like a day by day, hour by hour process that like you just constantly kind of have to like check in with yourself and be like, how are we feeling? How we doing? You know? How about you? What have you been working on this week?
I haven't worked much this week. Unfortunately, like I said, Halloween took up a
Mhm.
lot of my time. We had family come into town, so there was like entertaining. And then, yeah, my family and I have talked about doing this Stranger Things theme since this summer, but we really only did the last 3 weeks. So, like, we were in like building mode this week to like put everything together. And when I say that Halloween was big on our street, like we had over 600 kids, like 620 something kids, just kids, not adults.
So many.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Joke gifted my dad like a little counter, so he like has it on his finger and he like stands at the end of our little walkway. It's at my
He's
parents'
like the
house.
Costco,
Yeah, and he's
like the
just
Costco entry
clicking.
person. Yeah.
Exactly. He's just clicking
Love
away.
it.
He only counts kids, he doesn't count doubles. He's very intense about it. So yeah, we had like 500 like 64 last year and we had like 621 this year. Um so even more. So that's where like we take it seriously because there's a lot of eyes. Like people are coming on this street to see the spectacle. So we made a spectacle. So honestly, a lot of my time, my creative juices were spent towards building
Mm,
a Stranger Things set. Um, but I had a lovely crash out with you this week.
yes. It was lovely. I enjoyed it. It was a great crash out.
And called her panicking about the POV switches, but I think you reassured me that I don't need extra POVs. I think it would also just create more work for myself. And I think I do this when I start to panic. It's just like self-sabotage. It's like, how can we make this
Mhm.
harder for you to never finish, Mikayla? How do we make this more
Yeah.
difficult? And I don't know why I do that. And so I tried to write some scenes in like I tried to write some scenes with Helen, but as third person POV. And sometimes it just comes down to a feeling. It just feels wrong.
Mm,
It just
yeah,
feels wrong. And it's interesting because I'm working on another project just like when I'm kind of like sick of bones, I like need something else that feels like fun and new and shiny for my ADHD brain to like latch onto. And in that project, it is third person, multiple POV, and it works. But then when I go back to bones, I'm like, Helen just sounds so much better in first person. And I feel like you helped me see too that like it still is her story first and foremost. And like you have to be in her head I feel like for the payoff of the ending that I'm trying to achieve, like
I
it has to
agree.
be worth it for you to be really close. And third still feels too distant. I do think I might slot in the two other characters I was talking about in third person. We'll see if literary is like that. At like at the end of each part. So there's like a
I think that, yeah, I think
cadence
that that
to
could
it.
totally work. And it's also just like you know what you can also, well, first point is just like absolutely follow your gut. Like you have this idea, you know, in your mind how you want to execute it. Like your intuition is telling you something and just like absolutely follow that. And also something you can always do with like the added two characters at the end of each part. It's like you can always finish the draft with just Helen, like do a read through. And then if it's only 4 additional chapters or 8, depending on how many characters you want to do that with, like you can always add that in after the fact if you feel like the book needs it. You know what I mean? Or like try writing one and like see if it works when you slot it in there. Like I think especially if there are going to be so few for each of those characters, like you have a lot of flexibility in my opinion.
Right. Yeah, so I
Yeah.
didn't do much this week, like word count wise, quantitatively, but I did a lot of thinking about my book all the time. And I'm like I'll be doing something random and I have to like scribble it down somewhere on like random sheets of paper. And then I compile them all at the end of the week and I shove them in this
Love
notebook
it.
I use for the book. So I've done a lot of that. A lot of like mad scientist thinking about my book while we like built this Stranger Things set. And I've been reading these books for research. I think I just needed to put the book on the back burner for a second because I think what you said too, having my crash out, I was like really close to it to a point where even writing it, I just don't feel like I was having like a good attitude or like a lens coming into every scene.
Mm.
So I think I just let it breathe this week.
Yes.
I am just in my own way so much, and so I was like, Mikayla, we have to finish. I can finish this draft. If I
Wait,
don't go,
so just to orient everybody, where are you in the current draft? Like how many, like where in the draft, what act, like how much more do you feel like you need to finish so
I'm
we get a
still
sense of
in
what's
part
left?
3. So there's like
Okay.
half of part 3 and part 4 left. But I think part 4 is going to be a lot shorter than I originally planned. But if I just need to stop going backwards and I just need to write every day and just slowly chug along, even if it's horrible. I just want to hit the end so I can do my favorite part because I'm trying to do it too soon of like ripping it apart and analyzing it and like figuring out what to do. And it's like, I actually just need to finish it.
Month. You're going to finish it. Also, like, you know, if you show up every day, like you're going to get there. You know what I mean? Like, even if it's not like exactly the end of November, like probably definitely by the end of this year, you're going to have a draft finish. And that in and of itself is just like an absolutely huge accomplishment. And like, it's amazing. You wrote a whole book.
Maybe. Maybe.
Fingers
Okay.
crossed, knock on wood.
What have you learned from reading or writing this week?
What have I learned from reading or writing this week? Patience. This is like a writing lesson rather than a reading lesson. Yeah, definitely patience. I think it's also drafting and then going back and editing the chapter before moving on is teaching me a lot about like being deliberate and slow and patient. I think I have a lot of fun when I'm just like zero drafting. Like that is probably one of my favorite parts of the process is just like you're in this very free flowing creative state and you're just having a blast and you're thinking about all the potential and all the possibilities and there's just no pressure in making it good yet. And I think I'm at a stage right now in this draft where it's like, there's like a little bit of pressure to make it good. You know what I mean? But it's also like only draft 2. And so I'm also trying really hard with really, really hard to be patient with myself of like, it's only draft 2. Like you need to be patient. This is not going to be a masterpiece even. And draft 2 probably is not going to be a masterpiece even draft 7 or when it's done. Like you just like need to be realistic too. And it's just constantly being like, I know you want this done. Like, I know you want to have accomplished this. Like, I know you want to feel the gratification of having accomplished it. But it's also like you need to be patient and enjoy the process as is. And I think I'm just like a very impatient person. And it also just feels like I've been working on this book forever and it's not done yet. And I think that can feel really frustrating. And so, especially like having to go back and delete several scenes and rewrite them, like it's just been a game in patience this week.
I love that. I feel like what's funny
Yeah.
is what we learned is similar, but we're opposite.
Yeah. Tell me about what you learned this week from reading or writing.
Our writing, well, because like you are the queen of like zero drafts, and like I still remember when I first listened to your YouTube video where you talked about the dialogue draft, and I was like, Ari's a genius, and I must know her.
I got that idea from somebody on Discord, actually, in a writing server. Dialogue first draft is not my original idea. I don't want to take credit for it, but it is a great idea.
Nonetheless, Ari's still a genius, and everyone should get to know her. But
Same with me.
I find it so funny that like, yeah, I feel like we're similar in so many ways, like writing wise, but then so different. And on opposite ends of the spectrum, like you were saying, you get so excited about the zero draft. It's like the fun, free flowing straight, no pressure. And now you're in draft 2, so there's pressure. And I don't know why. I feel the exact opposite. I'm in draft 2,
Interesting.
but it's
Yeah.
really a one, like we talked about in my crash out this week, because I changed so much of the book. And for some reason, I feel pressure on the beginning side of the process. I think just to finish, but yeah, to make it good or work or book shaped in that first draft. And then I've been in revisions. I haven't for this
Yeah.
freaking story, but I love how for me, revisions feel like that's like the creative process of like the free flowing and like moving things around. So I'm kind of opposite to you, but compliment. So if there's listeners who are
Interesting.
Ari or like me, one I'd like to know, are you on the Ari side of the spectrum or me side of
Yeah.
the spectrum? Because I feel like obviously there's a range, but we just said in like a recent group chat that you and I are in, that we were sprinting in, of I want to give myself permission to just attend a meeting of the messy first draft club. Like I
Join us.
I just have like a flyer sitting on my table that I just ignore, right? Like I sit and try to
Yeah.
make the first draft the best it can be, but I just need, especially towards this end, to not go backwards. And I have to just finish it and just remember that I can do all of that work in revisions. I don't know why I feel like I
Yeah.
have to do so much of like, it's more of like the structural changes. It's like making sure the plot is fully like the dominoes are fully falling in line for the first,
Yeah.
but that's just like not, it's not realistic. Like even I've done so much work in the first 2 parts. I'm still writing in part 3 and 4 and I'm having notes of like you got to change this now in part 1 and 2. The thing is I
Yeah.
have to stop going backwards. Like I have to go forwards and then allow myself to, I'm like skipping steps. I'm like jumping the gun. And I also need words in a different
But
way.
I wonder if it's like the difference between like front loading and back loading, right? So it's like it seems like you're kind of like front loading the work of like the developmental edit because you can see the changes that kind of have to happen in real time, which like I think is fair. And again, I think it's like there's no right way, there's no wrong way, right? So it's like if it makes you feel better and it makes you feel like the story feels more real and more grounded and more
Mhm.
like in it to do those edits in real time, like there's like nothing wrong with it unless you feel like you're procrastinating.
I am.
Like, yeah. So then
I am. I know I am. I have been all year. Yeah.
so then I think it's like a little bit more reality check of like, okay, like just finish. But I also will say, like, there's a lot of value, and like maybe this will be helpful for like you, Mick, or like whoever. Like something that I'm really figuring out, like as I like write a chapter or like a scene, and then I go back and I edit it like real time, which is like exactly what people tell you not to do. There's so much value in writing something on the page that's like wrong or like does not fit, that I feel like we really don't talk about a lot, because it's like you want to try to just like get it right and like hone in and tweak and get it right. Like there's a lot of value of like writing something incorrect, going back and editing it, because you're like, wait, this is not the vision that I have. This is actually the vision that, like, there's something really clarifying about writing something wrong and being like, no, this is wrong. This is better. Right. And so it's like, if you feel like you're procrastinating, then absolutely like move on. But if it's like born out of a fear of like, you're going to go in and like look at this draft when you're done with it and you're going to feel like it's all wrong, it's not right, like actually going back and reading through your draft, even if things feel like they're not aligned or like they're wrong, it's still going to be a compass and a guide for you for revisions for like, wait, this is wrong, but like, I think doing this is going to make it feel right. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and what's interesting is like I'm not even scared about the overwhelming feeling I'm gonna have because I know I'm still gonna do developmental structural edits. Like, what's funny is
Yeah.
that's the part I love about writing,
Mhm.
which is interesting because I feel like I'm more of a right-brained person, but when it comes
Mhm.
to writing, I feel like I'm so left-brained in, like, the editing
Interesting.
process. Like, I can't wait to dive in and, like, analyze and dissect. So that's why I just think I'm getting ahead of myself. And it probably is born out of the fear that I think you were just talking about too with your own writing. It's just that inherent, like, "Oh my god, I'm working on this forever." And it's like a made up timeline in our own heads. Like, there's no actual timeline. These are projects that right now are just for us currently. Like, we're just working on them. But it is
Mhm.
that like weird pressure of like, especially because you and I both talk about writing online to some extent. It's kind of like, I'm sure people are like, God damn, Mikayla still can't finish a book. And it's like, that's how I feel in my own head too. So I feel like that's why I jump the gun. I don't know if that's like if you ever feel that way zero drafting, because it seems like you're such
Oh,
a
yeah.
good, like, first drafter though. Like, you really do, like, pump out the, like, messy drafts well and, like, quickly to, like, get yourself to that next step.
This is my opinion. I think we're in a society, this might be like very philosophical and I like apologize.
Love it.
But I think as a society, we really strive for efficiency. And I'm going to be completely honest. Like, I don't think that there's an efficient way to write a book.
No.
Like, I think no matter what, like you're either front loading it by outlining, you're back loading it by zero drafting, like a messy first draft, like I do. Like, it just takes time.
Mhm.
And I think it's like, yeah, I have a lot of fun with the zero draft. Like, but the zero draft is basically, I would say, the equivalent of somebody writing an outline and brainstorming a book.
Mm,
Do you know what I mean? Like I have to change so much. Like the whole thing like there's nuggets, but like the whole thing changes. Like a zero draft looks nothing like what my draft two, like for Pretend the Earth
yeah,
Doesn't Calm It, what my zero draft looked like is a completely different book. Like there are nuggets of ideas where I was like, yes, this. But like 85%, I want to say, is like completely different. And so
yeah.
I feel like it's just a matter of like, are you front loading or are you back loading? I'm a back loader. I think you're a front loader.
I feel like I'm still gonna have so much frickin' work in the editing. So I guess we'll see.
You might, you might, but you also probably write a much cleaner first draft, second draft than like I do.
Try.
And so I think you're going to give yourself like a little bit of an easier time than like somebody who writes like a really, really messy first draft like me. So I'm always like, yes, come to the messy first draft side. But like also like you just like whatever works for you, my gal.
I know, but I do think it's like it's yes, but I do know I'm using it as a procrastination tool. I'm using it as a crutch because I'm, like, scared
Mm,
about so many things all the time of finishing
so
and it being
fair.
horrible. But I do think too, going back to philosophical portions and society, you know, Ari and I are in our 30s,
We
in case
are.
you know, and, society makes women feel like you are dust the
Mm,
moment you cross into the 30 threshold.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like especially with writing and like consuming writing content online, like from YouTube to even just like reels that people are making on their Instagram journey, I see so many young writers, which like hats off to you guys. Love that. Like 22, 23-year-olds constantly being like, I have to be published by 30. And every time they
Yeah.
say that, a little piece of me dies inside. Like
I
I'm
know.
dead inside. So I think there's like parts of that too, where it's like I'm rushing the process because I feel out of time, which is like not
I know.
realistic, but it's, I don't know, our society has like framed it because it's like 30 under 30. You know, there's so many
Yeah.
things that make it seem like the 30 mark is like a benchmark for your success. Like, how much have you done in your 20s? Which, like, how much have I done in my 20s?
Yeah.
Nothing. 20s,
We
Michaela.
lived life. We lived life,
We
which
learned,
informs your writing too.
you know, it's like the 20s
Yeah.
are for learning about yourself. And now I hope the 30s is for like the success I want to see. But I think there
Yeah.
is some part of that too, like society putting like pressure on like the timeline to publish.
100%. And I think I was listening to V.E. Schwab's No Right Way, where she was talking, because she got published when she was like 19. I don't know. She was really young. And she said that when she hit 30, she hit like a huge mental block because she felt like she was no longer like the prodigy, like the author, who like had succeeded at like a very young age. But I will also say that like there are so many famous authors out there who Toni Morrison, I don't think published until she was like in her 40s.
I know. Lee Bardugo, 35. I'm like, I need
No, she was like 37,
to
38.
see even better.
There are so many, like my idol, Kay Jemison, I don't think
Mhm.
published until her 30s either. And I think our culture puts a lot of value on youth and doing things and being successful, especially at a young age. But like the more experience that you have, the more you can infuse that life into your writing. Also, I will say, like, especially seeing a bunch of authors like on social media and on like online platforms, like I'm trying to like really shift my perspective of like, because I come from a perspective 100% like you, Mick, where I'm just like, I want to be published. Like, I want to do the things, like, I want to see that success that I've been like working towards. But I think right now we're also in this like really beautiful time where we don't owe a draft to anyone. We don't have deadlines. We don't have the pressure of like, we need to turn this into an editor. My God, what are they going to think? Like the pressure of like having eyes on us and like on our draft. And I think 100%, like I'm with you. I think like 90% of the time I'm like, oh my God, like when is this gonna happen? Like, let's get moving, lady. But like, I think there's also a lot of value to like keeping the time that we're in right now like really precious of like our writing is our own a little bit. And I think like that is really nice. I don't know if I said that well, but yeah.
No, I think that's true. It is like easy to get bogged down in the your own personal like views of what you should have accomplished, quote unquote, by
Yeah.
this time. But like you said, I mean, I know there's so many authors that get published post 30.
Yeah.
It's like a weird battle constantly. But I like that frame of mind where like I don't know, writing is still so personal to us right now. Like we can kind of do
Mm,
whatever we want with no one else dictating when we get it done. So that's
yeah.
nice. Even though now I'm like really about to dictate when I get something done, but I needed the push. Like it is nice. It's still for us and like for our friends. Like we send like little chapters to each other and it's like still, it's not getting like completely scrutinized yet by like the team overall.
But also, Mick, I'm
Mhm.
going to gas you up before we move on to our guests you up section. Listeners gas you up. You're doing a great job. You're
Thank
doing
you.
a really good job. You're showing up every day. You're thinking about your book every single day. Like you're not avoiding it. You know what I mean? Like you're still thinking about it. You're doing your research. You're crashing out, which is a very valuable part of the process. And you're like talking to
Need it.
people too. Like you're doing a good job. I'm giving you a little pat on the back.
Thanks, Ari. So are you. We're
Welcome.
both in this together.
Yeah.
We're climbing
All
our mountain
this. Yeah.
together, and we know. Do do do.
We're introducing our gas me up section of this podcast. Okay. Ready?
Yes.
Thank you so much for taking my call. My name is Becca. I'm currently working on my upmarket fiction novel, and I'm currently on draft 3. I am really struggling with this draft because I feel like this is the first time that I am really working on revisions, and I did not really anticipate the emotional and mental turmoil that this would put me through. There's like a sense of feeling like, yes, the draft is moving in a much better direction, but it's like, the more that I keep working on it and the further I go into the book, the more I'm realizing the work that I still have to go back and do with the chapters I've already revised. So if you have any advice for kind of navigating revisions, is this something that you guys are feeling? I would really just love your thoughts and feedback on how to navigate doing something for the first time, feeling like you're bad at it, and really struggling with the feeling of wanting to give up.
Becca, we love you.
Don't give up, Becca. We love you.
Yeah. Okay. I think first thing I would like to say is like, I feel like this is so normal. Like you're not insane in the slightest. Like I feel like this is like a rite of passage personally.
Congrats. You're a writer. Yay.
And then I really do think it's a rite of passage and you're not insane. And I think it is really hard. And I feel like you really never know if you're making the right decisions and you never know if you're too close to it.
Yeah.
And I think feeling bad at things, like Mick said this in a previous episode about her pottery, it's like really hard to feel like you're bad at something. And it's like very discouraging. And I think that that means that you're doing the right thing. Genuinely. Like I had this feeling so much when I was getting my PhD where it was like genuinely a 5-year crash out. Like I'm not even kidding. Where I was just like, bad at this, not good at this. Like, what am I doing? And then I think the longer that you do it for and the longer that you like get comfortable feeling like you're doing something badly or like you're bad at it, you just kind of like lose that feeling by trying to ignore it and try to just like get lost in the work. And just like, I find it really hard because I do have that like really bad imposter syndrome, like inferiority complex, like inner monologue where I'm just like, oh my God, I'm bad at this. Like, why am I even trying? Like, I shouldn't even bother. Like, I should just give up. But that's you critiquing, I feel like, yourself when you're just trying to like get something done. And it's like, you're doing the work that you have to do. And like, you just have to kind of like trust that. And that like feeling bad at something is part of the process and it sucks. But I also think that it's like you grappling with like a very real sense of like, you're doing the hard thing.
Right. I think this is where grit comes in to the art process. It's kind of like what Ari is saying is like you have to do it over and over again, even if you feel like you're bad at it. And I know you're writing, so I know you're not bad at it. But
Agreed.
when it comes to revisions, I mean, I think this was a great voice note for what we just have been talking about this episode.
Yeah.
I guess first, because you said also like any advice for revisions. The one thing that Ari said also is that it sounds like you might be a little too close because you've been in the thick of draft 3. And I feel like when we get too close, even when we're in the weeds, that's when you start to like panic and you're like, oh my God, everything I'm writing sucks because you're working way too closely. So I wonder if it might help you for revisions. It helps me sometimes. Like just this week, I just put my book on the back burners to like recognize the times when, oh, okay, I need to put this down. I'm like I feel like if you get into the mindset where we're starting every writing session off with like negativity and we're putting ourselves down and we finish and we're like, this is horrible, that's a good sign to maybe put it away for a couple days.
Excellent point, Mick.
Maybe we just set it aside because I feel like it's really important. I try to do this in writing. I don't do it successfully, but especially in revisions, I feel like it's so important to keep that magical excitement because there is the grit aspect. It is the aspect of like you're kind of grinding a little bit more in revisions to make those changes and make it better every time. And the quantitative changes are way smaller than it is in drafting. Because in drafting, you're putting thousands of words on the page, and in editing, you're like, I added 2 words and I took out 500. So I don't really know what that means. So like I feel like you have to keep that magical excitement in order to push through and continue every draft in the revision phase. And sometimes that means putting your book away. Sometimes that means romanticizing the process a little bit. Like listen to that playlist you made, like scroll on Pinterest and add some photos to your board. Like what can you do to make it feel magical and fun again? If you also find the drafting process magical and fun, I don't. But if you are someone who does, I feel like the trick is to try to make revisions feel like drafting, like the magic of drafting in a way.
Knowing when you need to take a break is vital and like figuring out how to make it more pleasant. But I also will say, like, just because you feel like you are bad at something doesn't mean that you are.
Amen.
Like, period. I don't
Period.
know. Like, yeah, just because you feel like you're bad at something does not mean that you are. And I'm not saying that as in a sense of like, oh, go get some external validation to tell you. Like I think just inserting a seed of self-doubt about that thought that you're bad at something can do wonders. Yeah.
And I think that's a good point too of like, I think you just said doesn't mean go to get external validation. Cause I think sometimes that is like the response that writers have. We're like, read this and tell me if it's okay. Please read this and tell me if it's good. But I do think there's something about still like waiting, especially like the whole draft until that feeling goes away and you're feeling confident again about your work. Because I really feel like I've had some writer friends who like rush a little in the feedback process, like a whole draft, and then it can make it worse. It can make it worse. Not saying the feedback's bad, it
Yeah.
just might not be aligned with your vision. I feel like when you're ready for feedback, you will know because you'll be like, I know my vision. This is amazing. Give me my feedback. And then you can kind of like have that firm foundation. But it seems like you're just in the thick of revisions, Becca. And
Mhm.
I feel like this
Mhm.
is not crazy. It's totally normal. I feel like when we're doing hard things, like Ari said previously, which is great advice, it always feels like we're doing it wrong. And it just means we're doing something hard. It doesn't mean we're doing something wrong. And so I think you can just give yourself grace, find some whimsy, set it down when you need to, know when you got to pick it back up, and wait for the external validation piece until you yourself feel confident again.
Yes. And I think that external validation piece is so true because like I know sometimes like if I hand off a couple chapters or something and I'm like looking for external validation and
Mhm.
even if I don't get it, terrible,
Yes.
terrible feeling. But 2, even if I get it, I often then I'm like they're lying to my face.
And you don't believe it because you don't believe in yourself.
Yes. And so 150% Mick, I completely agree. It's like waiting until you feel like it's like you're secure in the idea and the work, I think is really important too, because I think getting external validation can make you spiral even harder, honestly, than if it's just like not within your own little vacuum. But also sometimes like you need to, like the fastest way out is through. And so just like, you're not crazy. Like, we're here to validate you. You're not crazy. It is really, really hard. Sometimes you need to take a break and just like give yourself a little bit of breathing room. And you're just like, you're doing the hard thing.
Yeah, you're doing the hard thing. No, that's so true. The fastest way out is through. And I feel like that's the hardest part of writing a book, right? Getting in revisions, drafting, no matter what stage. It's, you have to get really good at knowing your gut and listening to yourself past all the self-doubt noise. Like, you have to get really good at listening to your own intuition, so you know, when do I need to put the draft down? When do I need to just suck it up and keep going? When is this good enough to get feedback? Like, you have to rely on your own intuition. And so if that's something also you feel like you don't have fully, I feel like doing things outside of writing to make sure that like you hone in on your intuition is like a really important aspect of being a writer that isn't often talked about.
Well said. Well said. I agree.
But also, Becca, we know you personally, so we know your writing is fire, and I love your story.
Truly.
Fire.
Truly, we need Eden. Yes.
Need it. We can give you that external validation because we have read some of your work and it's so good. And I know you're just in the thick of it. And so all the self-doubt and all the little gremlins are trying to stop you from doing the good thing because it's hard. But we know you'll persevere and kill it.
So that's our little gas me up section. And with that, we'll see you next time.
Yay.
We'll hear you next time.
Yeah, we'll hear you next time. I guess we should plug in saying that if you want to be featured and you want to tell us what you're struggling with or ask for advice, or you just need a sounding board like Becca did of being like, can you validate that I'm not crazy, which she isn't, then you can call in or leave a voice note in our DMs, and all that information will be in the description of the episode and hopefully the outro.
And we'll see you next week. Thank you.
Next week. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Craft and Crashouts, a weekly podcast by Ari and Mick. If you liked this episode, be sure to follow along wherever you are listening to stay up to date for the next one. If you want to submit your crash out for the show, DM us at Craft and Crashouts on Instagram or email us at craftandcrashouts@gmail.com. Feel free to send us a voice note in either format. We'll talk to you next week with more craft talk and definitely more crash outs.